Factorize x squared minus 7x minus 30. When factorizing quadratics, we first look at the first term of the expression. If the coefficient of the first term is 1, then we can move on to the next step, which is identifying the factors of the last term. In this example, the coefficient of the first term is 1, so we can then identify the factors of the last term, which is 30. The factors of 30 are 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and 5 times 6. Next, we take note of the sign of the last term. If this sign is positive, we add the factors of the last term together to get the middle term. And if this sign is negative, we subtract the factors of the last term to get the middle term. In this case, the sign of the last term is negative, so we will subtract the factors of 30 to get the middle term. The middle term of the expression is minus 7x, so we need to identify the factors of 30, that when subtracted, gives a difference of 7. The only factors of 30 that have a difference of 7 are 3 and 10. Now, open up double brackets and place the factors of the first term, x squared, and the factors of the last term, 30, as the first and last terms of each bracket respectively. The factors of x squared are x and x. And the factors of 30 are 10 and 3. Note that it does not matter in which order you place the factors of 30. At this point, it is only important to identify the correct factors. We will assign signs to the brackets only once we have these factors. Now, since the sign of the middle term in the expression is minus, the greater product of the inners and the outers in the brackets will get the sign of this middle term. Thus, since 10x, which is the product of the inners, is greater than 3x, which is the product of the outers, 10x will get the same sign as that of the middle term, minus 7x. Thus, a minus is placed in front of 10 in the brackets, and the other bracket will get the opposite sign, which is a plus. Thus, x squared minus 7x minus 30 factorizes as x minus 10 times x plus 3. Let's look at another example. Factorize 2x squared plus x minus 15. The first thing to notice is that the coefficient of the x squared term is not 1. The second thing to notice is that the sign of the last term is a minus. Because the coefficient of the first term is not 1, we will use the cross method to find the factors of the first and last terms. The factors of 2x squared are 2x and x. So we place these factors on the left. Now, when it comes to finding the factors of the last term, a general tip is to find factors that have a relatively small difference. The factors of 15 are 1 times 15, and 3 times 5. Since the factors 3 and 5 have a smaller difference between them than 1 and 15 do, we will start with 3 and 5 as the factors for 15. Place these down on the right. Once we have listed the factors of both the first and last terms on the diagram, we cross-multiply. Thus, 2x is cross-multiplied with 5, to give 10x. And 3 is cross-multiplied with x to give 3x. Now, since the sign of the last term of the expression is a minus, we need to subtract 10x and 3x. The difference between 10x and 3x is 7x, but the middle term is plus 1x. That means that we have the wrong factors in our diagram. The only factors of 2x squared are 2x and x, so we can't do anything with the factors of 2x squared. That means we will need to change the factors of 15. So, we will switch the factors of 15 around. Again, we cross-multiply. 2x is cross-multiplied with 3 to give 6x. And 5 is cross-multiplied with x to give 5x. The difference between 6x and 5x is x, so we now have the correct factors for our factorized brackets. Now, the larger of the two products we obtained will get the same sign of the middle term of the expression. The sign of the middle term, x, is a plus sign. And since 6x is greater than 5x, 6x will get a plus sign, and 5x will get a minus sign. Place these signs in the diagram, and reading from left to right, we now have our two brackets. Thus, 2x squared plus x minus 15 factorizes as 2x minus 5 times x plus 3. It is always a good idea to check your work by multiplying out the factorized brackets. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 3 is 6x. Minus 5 times x is minus 5x. And minus 5 times 3 is minus 15. That simplifies to 2x squared plus x minus 15. Factorize 6x squared plus 5x minus 21. Note that the coefficient of the first term is not 1, and the last term has multiple factors. We will thus use the cross method to factorize this quadratic. The factors of 6 are 1 times 6, and 2 times 3. And the factors of 21 are 1 times 21, and 3 times 7. When factorizing a quadratic like this one, it is generally a good idea to choose factors of the first and last term of the quadratic that have a small difference. In other words, for 6, we will start with the factors 2 and 3, and for 21, we will start with the factors 3 and 7. We place the factors of 6x squared on the left. Likewise, we place the factors of 21 on the right. We now cross multiply. 2x times 3 equals 6x. And 7 times 3x equals 21x. We now look at the sign of the last term of the quadratic, which is a minus. Because the sign of the last term of the quadratic is a minus sign, we subtract the terms resulting from the cross multiplication to get the value of the middle term of the quadratic. Thus, 21x minus 6x equals 15x. Since the middle term of the quadratic is 5x, our factors are not correct. Therefore, we will switch the factors of 21 around. Cross multiplying again, 2x times 7 equals 14x. And 3 times 3x equals 9x. The difference between 14x and 9x is 5x. Thus, we have found the correct factors for the quadratic. Now that we have the correct factors, we will assign each of these factors a sign. Placing these signs between the arms of the cross, we have 2x minus 3 and 3x plus 7. The larger numerical value of the terms we obtain from the cross multiplication will get the same sign as that of the middle term of the quadratic. To do this, we look at the sign of the middle term. Since 14x is larger than 9x, 14x will get the same sign as that of the middle term of the quadratic. 14x thus gets a plus sign. And 9x gets the opposite sign, which is a minus. 2x minus 3 and 3x plus 7 are our factors for this quadratic. Thus, 6x squared plus 5x minus 21 factorizes as 2x minus 3 times 3x plus 7. Factorize 3x squared plus x minus 24. Again, we will use the cross method, since the coefficient of the first term is not 1, and the last term has multiple factors. The only factors of 3 are 1 times 3. The factors of 24 are 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. Since we only have one pair of factors for 3x squared, we can place these on the left. When it comes to 24, we will start with a pair of factors of 24, with the smallest difference.
So, we will start with 4 times 6.
Cross multiplying, 1x times 6 equals 6x. And 4 times 3x equals 12x. The sign of the last term is a minus, which means we need to subtract 12x and 6x to get the middle term. The difference between 12x and 6x is 6x. The middle term, however, is 1x. Thus, these factors are wrong. So, we will switch these factors of 24 around. Cross multiplying, we get 18x and 4x as our factors. The difference between 18x and 4x is 14x. These factors are also incorrect, which means that 4 and 6 are eliminated as options. The next pair of factors of 24 that we will use are 3 times 8, since they have the smallest difference of the remaining pairs of factors of 24. Placing these factors on the right and cross multiplying, we get 9x and 8x. The difference between 9x and 8x is 1x. And, since the middle term is 1x, we have found the correct factors for the quadratic.
Now that we have the correct combination of factors, we look at the sign of the middle term of the quadratic, which is a plus sign.
Again, we place these signs between the arms of the cross. The first bracket is x plus 3. And the second bracket is 3x minus 8. 3x squared plus x minus 24, therefore factorizes as x plus 3 times 3x minus 8. Factorizing quadratics, where the coefficient of the squared term is not 1, requires a bit of trial and error to find the correct factors. With practice, though, this becomes much easier.